I apologize. That's the wrong video. Well, we're live. How you doing? I'm welcome to episode 57 of It's Getting Drafty in Here. I'm your host, Magnificent Stan. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. And tonight we're talking a little wrestling here. We're doing it's a follow-up of we had Wrestling with Monsters before. This is Wrestling with Little Monsters. So we're going to be drafting and discussing wrestlers that are under 220 pounds. So joining me today, always our buddy Shankster is with us for wrestling. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me back.
Have we done a wrestling episode without you? I don't think we have.
There was one because you gave me the choice of WrestleMania matches, or it was like or tag teams, or build a team, or something.
So the build a stable one. That one was fun.
Stable.
Okay, yeah, you were with the WrestleMania one, right?
Yep.
Cool. Always glad to have you. Also joining us, we got a couple bums. His first appearance on the show, we got Joey P. What's up, bud?
What's going on? Bums represent. Thanks for having me on, B. Here to enjoy the intellect of the wrestling community tonight, and this is going to be a fun show. I can't wait.
Right on, buddy. It's glad to have you. I'm kind of embarrassed that it took me this long to have you on. So this is the first of many to come. No. And then Dougie's here too. You know.
Yeah. I got to break tape. That's killing me. Yeah. I just broke Lucha Code, but I'm out.
You didn't even lose it in a match.
Yeah, no. It felt like a wrestling match.
You and I are eventually going to have a beard for beard match.
All right, I'm down.
Gordo can be the referee. What's up, Gordo?
What up, Gordo?
All right, well, let's get started here. We got Dougie's got the first pick. I'm still a little frazzled because the opener just kind of shit our pants here, and but let's go. What do you got, Dougie?
All right. So this was my 1-1 when it comes to this stuff, and I also knew that he wouldn't come back around. I gotta go, fucking lie, cheat, and steal, baby, Eddie Guerrero. Right out of the gates.
Yes.
I don't feel like he would have made it out of the first round, let alone come back to me. So he's got to be my guy. Some of those matches back in the day in WCW, when they didn't know what they wanted to do with them, I mean, top notch stuff. So gotta go with my guy Eddie.
Was it
right on?
Was it him and Malenko that always had the good ones? Or was that? I mean,
yeah,
there were like four guys. There were like four guys. It seemed like always kind of intertwining. It was him, Malenko, Ray, and Ultimo Dragon too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, WCW kind of ushered. I mean, ECW started it. They brought all those guys over, but WCW really kind of harnessed it, highlighted them, and kind of made the show watchable in between the stupid segments of like 19 dudes getting out of limos, walking around the back.
Yeah.
They had a lot of filler time in those days, right?
Yeah,
they did.
And they filled it real good, though. That's what they did. They didn't even understand that they were filling it good.
No, it was like usually their first hour was usually cruiserweights for the most part. I mean, outside of a NWO segment at the beginning, but the first hour was always the cruiserweights.
Yep, always got them all riled up for the rest of the show for sure.
Yes,
and Bischoff made the right move, stealing all those guys from ECW. Because like all those guys, Malenko, Benoit, Saturn, I mean all those guys moved over. Yeah.
Was it Triple A that he had to deal with?
Yeah, he had to deal with Conan, and then Conan pulled them all back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can't go wrong with Eddie Guerrero, one of the greatest of all time. It's funny to draft it because I mean, for the height of his career, he was probably like a good roided up 240, but 250. Yeah. but when he was a cruiserweight, he was freaking phenomenal too. So
yeah,
definitely. Your guys are already stumping for you. So.
Oh man, he'll turn on Joey before he's even picked.
All right. Well, let's keep moving here. I'm gonna go ahead and take the guy I thought was gonna go 1. I didn't think he was gonna fall to me at 2. We already talked about him for a minute here, but I'm gonna Rey Mysterio Jr. I think he made it okay for these guys to be 200 pounds or 180 pounds and succeed. Yeah, just did a lot for everybody that was too small to go anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the perfect timing too, because it was like after the steroid boom and after the trial and all that shit, so nobody wanted any, 400-pound roided out lunatics. So
right.
But yeah, Ray worked with everybody, worked well with everybody. His son is the best heel I've possibly ever seen in my life.
That kid gets just a heat magnet. It's like go away heat, like X-Pac go away heat.
Dude, and I know that I think all of us talked about this. I have never seen somebody that was already heel turn even more heel when he just did that last turn. It was unbelievable. Like, how do you get heat on top of heat is amazing, but somehow he does it. Yeah.
It works.
Straight away from the pick, though.
You know what's funny is, has Rey Mysterio ever had even like an ounce of being a heel in his entire career? He's one of those few guys. Never...
Yeah, filthy animals going in.
Really though?
Animals.
Was he really a heel?
Or was it with the or was he with the No Limit Soldiers? Which one was he the heel in? He wasn't
in the No Limit Soldiers thing, was he? I don't even remember.
From what I remember, the Filthy Animals definitely, when they strayed away from Wolfpack, that was when they kind of did their own thing. So,
okay, well, I'll have to go back and watch. That was like those are like Russo times, right?
Yeah.
When he was unmasked and with the Animals, he was a little bit heel. But you can't take an unmasked heel Rey Mysterio seriously.
No, you can't.
Yeah, no.
Powers are gone.
And when Rey Mysterio took off his mask, he looked like a little kid. So like, it's kind of hard for anybody to be like, I hate that guy. It looks like he's 14, getting tossed around like a rag doll. And also back then, like they still had that old school mentality where like if you were small or you were a high flyer, you couldn't be a heel and do those moves.
Yeah. That, like I said, you look at Rey Mysterio's career, but if you bring up Rey Mysterio, the first thing that pops to my mind is Kevin Nash throwing him into the side of the trailer.
Oh,
always.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. He looked like a lawn dart.
Lawn dart. Yeah.
That or Big Show swinging him into the post when he was on a stretcher around the back.
Yeah, the backboard.
Brandy says his tattoos now make him look like he's wearing a bikini.
Yeah, those pecs. Yeah.
I actually saw a story. I don't know if it was on Kevin Nash's podcast or what, but Rey Mysterio wanted Kevin Nash to literally throw him through the window in that trailer. And Kevin's like, I will fucking kill you if I throw you through a window. So instead they threw him in the side of the platform or whatever.
Yeah. So not that I'm lobbying for votes early or anything like that, but I do want to talk about Rey Mysterio probably doesn't even have a kid. It's my 1-1 that is the true father. So when you're thinking of voting, think of that. So my guy may have produced the best heel in history. But anyway, we digress.
Ray won custody. Ray won custody fair and square, though.
Dominic Mysterio on a pole?
Yeah.
The custody ladder match at SummerSlam.
It was.
Who was it more inappropriate on a pole, like a 6-year-old Dom Mysterio or Judy Bagwell?
The Dom one was a little more interesting story than the Judy Bagwell one.
Yeah, that's true. You have to draw the line somewhere, right, guys?
Yeah.
All right, Joey.
70-year-old woman on a forklift is where it is.
Well,
there's a story about Judy Bagwell. What got Buff Bagwell fired from the WWE after the takeover stuff was that he didn't show up one night, and Judy Bagwell called Jim Ross to tell him that Buff couldn't show up that night, and Jim's like, Mamas don't call me, ma'am. Like, all right, no more Judy Bagwell. We can't talk about her anymore. All right, Joey.
All right, my turn. Well, I mean, I should for my first pick, first round, just complete the family triangle of drama and pick Dirty Dom here, since he's billed at 200. But no, I'm not going to go that route. It's too congested. But Brian, you already had named him, and he's still in my top 3. I got to give kudos to the first 2 picks because it's exactly how I had him ranked myself. So that's a phenomenal job there, Dougie and Brian. For me, I have to go Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo Dragon for me was like the OG belt collector back in the day, traveling the world, running the indies and all the other big promotions then, and he just collecting belts. Back in those days.
It's like the Lucha Pokemon,
Yeah, exactly. That's what he was. He wrestled all over Mexico, so that's how I grew up to know him, seeing him on AAA and CMLL. So growing up as a kid on Telemundo. So I got to see Ultimo Dragon. And then when he hit WCW and hit that cruiserweight division back early Nitro days, he was part of the main cogs that helped start that. So he traded that title quite a few times.
He was a perfect combination of mat technician and I would say he's the original Bryan Danielson almost, because he was stiff as hell with the kicks and with the striking. He had crazy submission moves. He did like Asai moonsaults and he had a little bit of everything. I thought he was absolutely perfect wrestler. That's a great pick. That was going to be my next pick. So
hell yeah.
Yeah. But he had like 12 titles at once, something like that.
Yeah.
He used to show up with like all the belts.
Coming out with shoulders.
Like Sonny Ono had like 4 of them, and then he had like 7 around his chest and shit. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Kudos to Kenny Omega for trying to pay him homage when he had his belt collector run a couple of years ago in AEW.
He I think Omega said he is his favorite wrestler of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, Shankster, you got 2, bud. Oh, hang on, I'm sorry. Alexis, The Rock is well over 220 pounds.
Dougie did the research on that earlier.
Yeah, old Rock was 5 pounds over. Son of a bitch.
Rock was 221.
When in 8th grade?
Yeah.
We should start wrestling at 221. So like I said, we're still sticking kind of early WCW days since we talked about this earlier. I'm going to go one that always came to mind was Jericho from back in the day. From WC, like the ECW, WCW days when he did the cruiserweights with, the whole thing with Malenko with he's the 1,001 holds and that
arm bar.
The best when he did it through an entire commercial break, just kept reading it.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was the one for me back then with cruiserweights. Was always Jericho. Outside the ones that have already been picked. So.
Yeah, that definitely was one of my favorite segments of all time that you're describing, John. Like when he came back from the commercial break, and I love the GIF. I saved that GIF, so if somebody's going on and on and a Teams call at work, and it's unnecessarily long, that's the one I send to the friends on the call.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
That's always but that was always one of his gimmick. That with Brian brought up the Ralphus,
oh god, that stuff was fucking phenomenal.
The half shirt, just him telling that story about him, like how the guy was like a truck driver basically for him, and he just started bringing him out with him.
Yeah.
That guy he used to do like stunts with him, and then later on with Norman Smiley too. And when he would take his shirt off when he'd wrestle, that guy had the biggest fucking hernia I've ever seen on a human being. It was like this. Like if you ever go back and watch it, it's like this big, and you're like, oh my god, why are they doing that? But the reason I stepped away for a second, Baloney mentioned Corazon de Leon. The AEW actually made the Corazon de Leon figure. I'm sorry, Brandy, figure. So it's got the worst face scan in the history of action figures, but it doesn't look like him at all. But I just heard her laugh upstairs. All right, that's a good one. Another one that, like, you know, he got a little bit bigger, but as a cruiserweight, that's when he really like showed his character and showed what he could do, but like pulled more of himself into what he was doing.
Yeah.
And his background in Lucha Libre and then over to Japan and like all that stuff, that's what built him as a professional wrestler. So definitely,
it's just, and he's just adapted to everything though. That's like, you know, I'm not sure much for now, but like he's just adapted, just so repackaged himself so many times.
Yeah, just keeps doing it. His next gimmick will be January 6th.
For 2.
Sorry, I had to say it. All right, Shankster, round 2.
So this one, I guess, I don't know. I said mainly because I always heard that he was kind of the litmus test for new guys coming in. That this is who Vince would always set out there with him. Like if they can work with him, then they had it. Was X-Pac, 1, 2, 3 Kid, whatever you want to call him. 6.
Should we put Sean Waltman?
That's fine. Yeah,
I think X-Pac was his biggest character, so we'll just do that.
Yeah. So that was mine, and just, you know, his run there.
Yeah.
You know, I remember seeing him on Global back in the day on ESPN as a Lightning Kid, and
Lightning Kid, yeah,
with Jerry Lynn and having matches with him, and then, you know, obviously getting built up in WWE with Razor, and then when he came back, it was just, you know, he always had great matches. So that's the one I went with.
Him and Bret Hart had one of the best TV matches I ever saw, and still to this day, like people didn't know that wrestlers could wrestle like that until him and Bret Hart wrestled on Raw. That it was like 90, I want to say 93, something like that.
Yeah, he had that.
94. Yeah. I was really worried for a second when you started to like kind of frame it that it was the guy that everybody always wrestled when they came in. I thought you were going to draft a Brooklyn Brawler for a second.
I think he missed the cut.
Yeah, I think he was like 240, but you know.
Yeah. Oh, and 240.
That guy wrestled every live event I went to.
Alexis, what's a snow cone? Is that Stone Cold?
I didn't. At first, my brain went Al Snow, but
yeah.
Well, when they interviewed, I remember at the Royal Rumble the year Mike Tyson came in, and they had Mike Tyson in the box and they're interviewing him, and he's like, "I love wrestling. Cone Stoled is my favorite." And they started talking about Nikolai Volkov, and they're like, "All right, shut up. Let's go back to the action."
Big Bruno guy, Tyson. Big Bruno Sammartino guy.
Yeah. A lot of boxers, their theatrics were learned from wrestling. Muhammad Ali learned a lot from Gorgeous George, and Buddy Rogers. Yeah. So that's where he learned his flamboyant ways.
Yeah, all those guys that fought Floyd Mayweather that took a dive.
Like the Big Show?
Like the Big Show. That was one of them. A big one.
I remember I saw something with the Big Show talking about that match, and he told Floyd, when you put the brass knucks on, you have to really hit me. And he's like, "No, I'm not doing that." And he goes, "This will never work unless you actually fucking punch me."
Yeah.
I punched him right in the fucking face and blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Careful what you ask for.
Floyd Mayweather, most boring boxer ever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all he did.
That shoulder roll.
Uncanny defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's how you beat George Foreman's game for Sega back in the day, dude. You get to Foreman, and all you do is then throw one punch. Throw one punch.
I don't think I ever played that one. I remember the Holyfield game was amazing.
Yeah,
all you do is all you do is
one.
just keep going uppercuts and you just keep over and over again. All right,
the head stamina would fill up.
Right, yeah, the as you beat him more, it would like shade out. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that was a great game.
The game was amazing. Stop the fight when you beat him up too hard.
That music would hit.
Yeah.
The 16-bit music would hit, and you jump off your couch.
Yep.
I still do to this day, especially for this next guy. I think for me, so my pick, right, Brian?
Yeah, you're up. I'm sorry, Joey. Yeah,
I'm up. No, it's all good. I'm excited that he fell here. And I looked it up through every single resource available on these great internets. I'm going Jushin Thunder Liger.
Another one I really wanted to take.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're good, man. That's a great pick.
Sorry, you dudes.
Yeah,
Jushin
very,
Thunder
very
Liger.
underrated dude.
Mm-hmm. He was amazing. I mean, talk about legendary. This guy, he no matter what promotion he went to, he was a winner, and he really showed off his talents to even elevate whoever he was in the ring with. And honestly, all his matches were fantastic. I don't think I ever, growing up, watched a match of his I didn't like. And even to his latest run that he even had, he had one of the NXT was it NXT Takeover show? In the
with him and Joe, right?
Yeah,
he wrestle
something
Joe?
like that. If I recall, it was phenomenal. Like he's ageless. He really is. So he was always one of my favorites growing up. And him and Brian Pillman, early 90s WCW,
those
they
matches
put on
were
some
unbelievable.
matches. Yeah,
People forget how great Pillman was for a while there, man.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Good,
solid.
Good pick. Good pick. Yeah, I think he wrestled. Was the guy that always had the selfie stick with him in NXT?
Oh yeah, the Prince. Oh god, what was
Yeah.
Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze. He wrestled Tyler Breeze, and then he wrestled Samoa Joe, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good pick, man. I love that guy. Yeah, he when he went to NXT for that little run there, he was well into his 50s at that point and still just going, man.
Yeah.
He always looked like and he was different than most of the other cruiserweights. He wasn't slender. He was like a big, thick dude. He was just short, like that's why he fit into the division,
Absolutely.
Oh,
He fit the build. Wait.
Well, I'm very happy with this draft so far. This has been you guys have put together some great picks here so far. I don't give a fuck who wins. All right. I wanted to take him in the first round, but I had to take Rey Mysterio. This guy he might be my favorite wrestler of all time. He brought me back into wrestling about a decade ago. Not necessarily a cruiserweight or a lightweight. Never really wrestled in that division because he was too fucking tough for that. Career just wrapped up a few weeks ago. Yes, I'm gonna go with our boy Bryan Danielson.
That's a good one.
Yes, it is.
He just over and over and over again just defied the odds. I mean, when he came in, I remember when he first started on the indies, people were like, this guy's going to change the fucking business. It was like him and Punk and Joe. Those three were going to change the fucking business. And they did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was for the better or for or not, but yeah, I mean, he just, I got drawn in by him. Like he was just so good at everything. Worked with everybody, and he just went a little too hard and it caught up to him. But that happens with all of them. But yeah, I gotta go Danielson. Over the last 15 years, I would probably say in the top 20 wrestling matches, he's probably got 5 or 6 of them at least. So
Yeah.
He was one of those guys like I never watched like Ring of Honor, but it was always like a buddy. That's the name you always just kept hearing though. Was Punk, like you said, Punk was one, Danielson was one. It's just I don't think I saw anything of theirs till they got to WWE. But that was like same thing. Was all those are the guys you heard about. Was just that name that was out there. The same thing with like Rollins was the same way. Was another one that I would would hear. Well, I guess Tyler Black would you hear about?
Yeah. Another guy toes the line for the weight limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, and then him and Punk specifically, when they both got into the mainstream, they exceeded expectations still. And I think he just, especially in the business, especially working for Vince McMahon, with his preconceived notions about what a wrestler should look like and how wrestlers should be in the ring, he changed it all. I mean, Bret Hart did it in the 90s. Shawn Michaels did it in the 90s. And then that next generation ended up being part him,
Yeah.
Brandy's gatekeeping, Brian.
Yeah, Brandy made a list. I have 2 lists today that were provided, and she wanted to put Moxley and Rollins on it, and they were both just like a few pounds over. So, but all right, Dougie, what do you got?
All right, this one I'm gonna go with this guy. I really, really liked him, and then as his career progressed, he really fell off for me. I think he could have been one of the greatest of all times had he not let addictions get in his way. I got to go Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
Jeff Hardy really took a time with WWE and made the tag team belts like relevant again, and just he fits that weight class, and then he had a good run on his own and everything like that. I don't want to say like Daniel Bryanson did or whatever, but he was still like an underweight, not superhuman,
He fit that underdog mold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. And
and he had to do everything he possibly could to win. You know what I mean? Like he had
right.
That's drama. That's part of building up with wrestling a match.
Yeah, and I really wish that he could have fought his demons a little bit better, because I think that there was a lot that could have came out of, or maybe not. Maybe that's what he was doing to cope with his injuries and shit. It
was how he could keep going was the pills and the booze. Yeah,
exactly,
for sure.
You can think though, like with him, like you have guys like with obviously these talk about tag teams with Edge and Christian and the Dudleys. Like those guys kind of all made each other, like from those ladder matches.
Oh,
that's what especially the Edge and Christian and the Hardys when they had the Terry Invitational tournament. When they were doing those ladder matches, and just that's what the 4 guys who just elevated each other like completely to another level. All of them were just because of those matches just leveled up.
Hell yeah.
They should have hung out with Edge and Christian more. They would have both Hardy boys should have hung out with Edge and Christian more, because they just went back to their room and played video games or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
They didn't go out and party.
Exactly. And the Hardys actually do seem like video game guys. Like if you look at them and like but yeah, apparently
they're like they're like crazy dirt bike dudes. Like,
oh yeah,
Hardy has like a ranch where that's like ATVs and dirt bikes is like his life.
Dude, when he started throwing out those videos like in the early internet days of like him basically just smoking weed with a line trimmer, I forgot what his persona was. It was like Weed Man or something like that, and it was basically just
Will o' the Wisp.
Yeah.
And he brought it back in TNA actually years and years later. Speaking of TNA, that's why I started to really turn away from him, because it was their biggest show ever. Main event was him and Sting, and he couldn't go. He walked. I don't know who the fuck made the decision to let him even just walk to the ring.
Yeah,
that was the stupidest thing ever. Yeah, well, no, Bischoff. I don't think Bischoff understood how fucked up he was.
Well, yeah, because they told anybody to go out there and end it.
Right.
But
they ended up having a match, and like Sting beat him in like 45 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
For those that don't know this one, the main event, I think it was Victory Road or whatever their biggest pay-per-view was.
Yeah.
Bound for Glory. It was him and Sting for the title. They built it up like crazy. It was the two biggest guys in their company. They were really gaining momentum. Again, after Hogan and Bischoff took over, it kind of dipped and then it started to pick up again. And he showed up so fucked up that he couldn't perform, and they had to rush the match, and it like ruined their company for a while. Like people were not happy. So
yeah, they would have almost. I was gonna say they would have been better off just doing like a backstage like hit piece on him, like he got attacked in the back or something like that, and then you could build
send out Kurt Angle and have Kurt Angle and Sting, like that's or AJ. AJ built that fucking company. Have AJ go out there and beat Sting. Like that would be like the biggest moment in the history of that business and that company.
Right.
But instead they let Jeff Hardy go out. I don't know what the fuck he was on.
Yeah. So that's a perfect prelude into my next pick. My next pick is going to be AJ Styles. AJ Styles again is just another one of those guys that has defeated the odds with his size. And I mean, just a workhorse still to this day. And as a as the reigning 108 family guy, he's a really good family guy. he does a lot for his family, and I can appreciate
he's got his kids' birth dates tattoo on his ribs.
Yeah.
He's a good family guy.
Exactly.
No, I love AJ Styles. AJ Styles is one of my favorites. So I got real into TNA. So
yeah, the one moment of his career that pains me is that match with him and Undertaker, that pre-recorded. I forgot what they even billed it as.
Boneyard?
They call it the Boneyard match.
Okay.
Yeah. They call it, what do they call it? Cinematic matches.
Yeah.
They did that with Sting for a while too.
Yeah.
Brady calls him the soccer mom because of his hair nowadays. He looks like Mrs. Brady.
Yeah.
But I mean, he still goes. He's not as good as he used to be. He
Right.
seems to be getting hurt a lot when he gets in the ring, but that's what happens when you're in your. I mean, he's almost 50 now, I think.
Yeah, there was one of the massive pops that you could get at a Royal Rumble was when he came in. I mean, that was a massive pop.
Well, and it also helped that Roman was the only one in the ring when he came out too. That was like, worlds colliding, and he had just dropped the IWGP title like a couple of weeks before that, and they didn't. I mean, they knew he was coming eventually, but they didn't know that was happening.
Was he one of those that's bigger, like, and I don't know, like the WWE crowd, like, I don't know how much they pay attention to TNA or even anything, but like going to Japan made him bigger than what he would have been just coming straight from TNA? Or no?
Probably.
Just Bullet Club stuff, man, because that was a little more.
I think TNA had made a big enough footprint in the business at that point, though, where it probably would. I mean, Joe, they kind of fucked up. I keep putting Joe in NXT right away, but
yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe a handful of fans, probably like 10% or 15% of the fans had no idea who he was still. Yeah. If he hadn't gone to Japan, it'd probably be like 25%, something like that. But yeah, TNA, man, those guys, especially the early years, they put on some fucking shows. Like Elix Skipper and like all those guys just killed themselves. It was fucking phenomenal.
What was that, Lethal Lockdown or whatever it was?
Yeah, when he walked across the top of the cage.
America's Most Wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the one TNA pay-per-view that I bought, I think, was that one.
Well, every single commercial they ran for like the entire run of that fucking company, they would show that Elix Skipper clip like every single time. Oh man. Okay. Another one I would have taken in the first round if I had to. We mentioned the 4 WCW guys that were like the mainstays for the cruiserweights early on: Guerrero, Mysterio, Dragon. I'm going to take the one that didn't have as long of a career as the others, but one of the best mat technicians I've ever seen. The fluidity of Dean Malenko's matches, just the logic to what he did in the ring. Like one thing always led to another, and it always made sense and always like put it together. You could tell that guy would sit in the back with a fucking notepad and be like, we're doing this, and this is going to transition over this because I can do this with your leg and you can do this with my arm. And like, just phenomenal. Love the guy.
Yeah. It's just like you said, those matches with Ray or with Jericho. And it was a Halloween Havoc, I think, with one of those two. Maybe it was even Eddie.
It was Ray. It was Ray because Ray had that purple getup on.
Yeah, that was Ray.
That match, Halloween Havoc is the one. Yeah. So I mean, Dean Malenko was just. I mean, there was nothing fancy. You know, it was kind of a boring, no charisma type thing, but it just didn't matter because he could just go.
Yeah. Yeah, he could definitely hold a match. The one thing that I will say is that I feel like you are absolutely correct, Brian, about like him, like basically like, hey, this goes into that goes into that. And you can tell when he was wrestling a guy and the guy couldn't keep that like in his head, like this is what's coming next. That's when you would see like Dean have a not so good match, but it wasn't on him. You know what I mean? It wasn't on him. It was more or less on, the guy that, he was telling like, hey, this is what's going to be up. And then you could tell like he probably just gave way too much information. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, if you think about it, like, so he's the son of Boris Malenko. Him and his brother were a tag team that just destroyed Japan.
Yeah. And
they came over. There's a match with those two and the Steiners. You could find it on YouTube. It's Dean and I can't remember what was Dean Malenko's brother's name? Joe Malenko. Yeah, it was Joe Malenko. Against the Steiners. Unbelievable. Like people didn't know what they were watching. These guys were so just fluid and wild in the ring. The beauty about Dean Malenko too is not only was he good on the mat, like if they wanted him to do like backflips off the top rope and shit like that, he could have. Like that's how athletic and awesome that guy was. So he's fallen on some terrible times. He's got, I believe, Parkinson's disease now. He's in a wheelchair and not doing well, but I think he still does some stuff with AEW, some like agent shit from time to time. So guy that always wanted he's like Bret Hart. He just wanted to be a wrestler, son of a guy who trained people for a living. He just got it. So. But Joey, let's go here.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. You stole my pick there. I was hoping that he was going to fall to me, but now I got to keep it on.
Can we also kick Peter's ass for this comment?
What Peter's talking about. I mean, he had a cool gimmick, when he transitioned to WWF.
Was he the ladies' man there for a while?
He was that James Bond gimmick, and that gave him pretty personality, in my opinion. I don't know what Peter's talking about there. He was just talking about his WCW run, obviously. Crazy talk. So
he's the Iceman. He didn't have to have a personality.
Exactly. Do you really? I'm not going to mention his name, but there were plenty of wrestlers that had mouthpieces on the side, right? Because you really didn't care about what they had to say. You just loved what they did in the ring, right?
Yep.
That's a great way, I think.
Although Brock Lesnar with a boombox dancing is still the funniest shit I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. So.
Either that or when he talked to another unmentionable Mr. Hogan in the ring telling him to leave. So
time's up, Grandpa. There's a clip where he's like, I'm coming and I'm coming hard, and you're just like, what's going on? Yeah, Brandy calls him penis because the sword tattoo looks like a penis.
I thought because he just gets really red.
Or he likes to he likes to tag team women with Vince McMahon, apparently.
Now you're just talking shit.
Yeah.
Lawsuits.
Rough stuff.
Allegedly. Put allegedly in there, Brian.
Sorry. Allegedly. Okay.
All right. The third round pick for the Wrestling with Little Monsters team for Joey P. I'm going with, and the wife just texted me to remind me, you better pick him or else no shots for you. So I'm going to go with El Santo. El Santo was a Mexican legend. He is the greatest Mexican wrestler of all time. For those, look him up on Google if you don't know the story of El Santo. He was basically an actor, a full-time wrestler and actor. And he entertained for over, I want to say 40, 50 years. He's a legend in Mexico. He has the all silver mask. And he made nothing but superhero movies. So imagine, you know, growing up as a child, he was born. There you go, Dougie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, El Santo for me, he's legendary. So I'm sure that, you know, I know that, you know, Eddie and Ray right now are more our generation growing up, but El Santo is like the Bruno Sammartino or whoever you want to put on the round. There you go. Thanks, Brian. Mount Rushmore of Mexican wrestling. So it is El Santo for me.
I would love to just walk around in a suit and tie and then wear a lucha libre mask. I mean, that would just be fun. I mean, it's like you still know how to party, but you're still formal.
Yeah, right.
And then his son wrestled as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then isn't that guy's son? I can't remember what the bloodline is.
Not related to one of them, is it? Who's Alberto Del Rio? He's got a connection to somebody, doesn't he?
We don't talk about scumbags. No, I'm kidding.
We brought up Lesnar and Hogan.
Yeah, we brought up Lesnar and Hogan. Sorry. Nobody's picked Chris Benoit yet, though, so we're still. I gotta find some wood. All right. It's a good pick, man. I saw a documentary about him not that long ago, and he led a pretty fascinating life, man. He was he's pretty much a god.
Mm-hmm.
He's as close to a god as you can get in Mexico, right?
Yes, absolutely. Like he was the ideal cruiserweight. You know, he was, if I recall, he's literally right at the 209 mark. So, I mean, as that goes, as far as being billed as a cruiserweight, he definitely, you could say, fit that bill. Because he was also, like, as far as acting goes, you know, he was able to fit any role for the superhero, because back then, you know, he was pretty swole for 209. So
yeah, he's a big dude. I'm looking at other pictures of him. He's a really big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty ripped.
So you think about Lucha Underground, and, you know, obviously that was a pretty fun promotion, right? While it lasted. So
yeah, that was great.
Obviously,
I wish you could find it on streaming. You really can't. You have to buy the whole fucking thing. They need to put it somewhere. Robert Rodriguez, get off your ass.
Just looking at the size of this dude, I'm starting to question the scales in Mexico. I'm just being honest.
How many kilograms was he?
He is like, he's got the barrelless chest.
I remember that, Yumper. That was hilarious.
Mascaras didn't want to do the job to anybody, though. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love when they bring these old... Go ahead. I'm sorry, Joey. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I did, you know, my research on Mil Mascaras. So obviously, he didn't fit the bill. He was at a legit 235.
Yeah, he was a big dude. Mil Mascaras was huge. Yeah. I loved when they used to bring, like, every year they'd bring like one or two old guys in for the Royal Rumble. Yeah. And, like, I remember Carlos Colon's running down, and Gorilla Monsoon's like, Carlos Colon, this fantastic youngster. He's like 65 fucking years old. He's jumping in the ring and headbutting people.
Whose scars were deeper, Colon's or Abdullah the Butcher on their head?
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
No,
like
definitely
Abdullah the Butcher.
Abdullah's were like from the top of the head all the way down. Like Abdullah's
were stick a quarter in there and it'll stay.
Yeah.
Abdullah the Butcher, not a cruiserweight.
No, not by any means.
Don't let him cut you.
Yeah.
But, all right, Shankster, let's go with your next two.
Like I said, I'm kind of racking my brain on some of these. I know I watched some of them, but I couldn't pinpoint a certain match. But Super Crazy was always a good one for me.
Good one. He's on my list.
He used to just crazy stuff.
I remember like his ECW,
Yeah, that was where he hit his stride.
Yeah, and I remember watching him was it One Night Stand? But just some of the stuff he did. Like I said, I remember watching it, but I can't pinpoint a certain match. I just know that he was always one of those that was fun to watch.
He was also part of the worst, most racist gimmick in the history of wrestling, which was the Mexicools.
Yeah. Come out in a lawnmower.
Yeah, they would come down. Yeah, it was three Mexican dudes riding to the ring on a John Deere.
Yep.
And you're just like, what, Vince? What are you doing, man?
Yeah, it was called a Juan Deere, if I recall, on SmackDown.
Yeah, I saw him at a AAW show in Berwyn. Well past his prime. He was quite on the hefty side, so he was not doing he wasn't doing anything super crazy.
Well, he was definitely one of those dudes that should have kept the mask on too. He was an ugly dude.
Yeah, right.
It's funny though. They all go to the WWE. They're like, you have to take your masks off. Like, what the fuck, Vince? Like, come on, man.
Right.
How was my Vince impersonation? I thought that was pretty good.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
He's gonna puke. Did you guys watch that doc yet?
Yep.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Not all of it.
I already knew 99% of that shit, but
yeah.
I didn't know how bad the relationship with his kids have gotten.
I think it's more. If you don't know wrestling, it's be a lot more interesting, for the first 4 or 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, because it's nothing we had, as if you followed it, it's something you haven't heard before.
Baloney. I think that pissed me off about the gimmick was the shitty lawnmower. All right, Shankster, round 4. Let's start it off.
I said I wasn't sure if this was gonna make the cut. So if either one of them do, so you can tell me if I need to repick, I'll do it. But I was thinking Dynamite Kid. I don't know if he was too heavy or not.
WWF light heavyweight champion, Dynamite Kid. Beat Tiger Mask.
And, I was going to say Tiger Mask. His matches with Tiger Mask is what you always hear about, is how great they were over in Japan. And just watching him for his, in WWF, obviously, was just for being this. I mean, he was put together, but for as small as he was, just what he could do.
Yeah.
And just if he hadn't just beat his body to shit, by the time he was 30,
You ever watched the first wrestling pay-per-view? It was called the Wrestling Classic.
Yeah.
Was that Rosemont? They really showcased the shit out of it. Yeah, he beat Nikolai Volkov immediately. That was pretty cool. But they really showcased the shit out of him and Savage in that entire thing,
Yeah. Because he made it to that was them two in the finals, right? The tournament?
No, Junkyard Dog won.
Oh, that's right. It was Junkyard Dog and Savage.
Yeah, Dog beat Savage in the final, but yeah, Dynamite Kid, they really showcased the hell out of him, and you didn't really back then, again, especially in the early 80s, little guys didn't get that kind of run. So
no, not
pretty cool shit. But yeah, he inspired a lot of guys. All those guys that came up in Canada were obsessed with him. I mean, even obviously he's British, but Jericho, Owen Hart, Benoit, Lance Storm, all those guys were just obsessed with him. So
Benoit is the closest. If you watch Benoit's style, it's
same wrestler.
I mean, it's similar. It's almost mirrors Dynamite Kid's with the suplexes, the headbutt, just everything that's where he got it.
They both went crazy.
Yeah.
That they did.
Did
Yeah.
you ever hear the
I was
the Rougeau?
Yeah, the Rougeau's punching him.
Is that like a roll of dime or a roll of quarters in his hand and just sucker punched him, knocked his teeth out?
Yep. Jacques Rougeau was a douchebag, though.
Yeah.
He did that because his brother, because Ray Rougeau was a legit badass. Like, Ray Rougeau was one of the toughest dudes ever. And he thought he could do that because his brother would stick up for him if he got into trouble.
Yeah.
That's always been the story. So another guy that grew up promoter trainer's son. Those two. I thought they were going to get bigger as a tag team, but then Ray got hurt and he had to retire.
They still have some great theme music though to this day.
The All American Boys.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart.
Come down with
That was
little
before.
American flag.
That was before Johnson started writing all that stuff. It was Jimmy Hart back then.
Mm-hmm.
He did the Honky Tonk Man. He did all that stuff.
I heard it was like Jimmy did a lot of that stuff too, but didn't want any credit or didn't take any money for it. It was all like Jim
Same
Johnson.
thing with W. He did that in WCW.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he wrote I'm pretty sure he wrote the worst theme song ever, which is the American Males.
That was before Scotty Riggs gave people the clap.
Oh God! So if anybody listening or watching this show, if you don't get the reference, just go on YouTube and type in "American Males theme song" and throw up.
I have a wastebasket nearby.
Right. I think I'm gonna put it on our StreamYard to play it whenever it'll be like our like play me off music. Like if like, all right, let's wrap it up. Like American Males.
We used to frequent this one bar, and it was like when Touch Tunes first came out, and on the Touch Tunes, due to the owner's request, they had the Arnold Schwarzenegger workout tracks, and literally it is just Arnold going up, down, up, down, up, down, and it's just got like some subtle music in the back. But you want to see a bar clear out real fast, crank that thing up to 10, and then just Arnold Schwarzenegger giving you directions on what you should be doing with your weights. Everybody leaves.
Or Arnold trying to give away the Contra code.
Yeah.
Up, down, down.
Left, right.
Oh man, that's some funny shit. I'm trying to find. I'm like, while you guys are talking, I was trying to find the American Males clap to show it off. I think I just found it. Yep. All right. Wait. There's the clap. There's the clap. There it is. All right. All right, Joey.
All right. Well, he's still on the board for me. I'm glad that he fell to here. I know HBIC probably and Bologna are going to give me a hard time with my team here, but who won this title? The WWF Light Heavyweight Championship, the true cruiserweight title, back in the 90s.
That's right. Brian Christopher?
Brian Christopher. No, he may have won it as second or third time around. But
the great Sasuke?
Taka Michinoku.
Taka Michinoku is my pick, Brian.
All right.
The Michinoku driver.
He was great.
That dude was, I mean, that was like Vince's way of, or whoever was in Vince's ear at that time to, WCW starting this thing and, we got to get in. So I think that when they got Taka on board and they started their own little cruiserweight division, it started opening eyes. Absolutely.
Taka, it's like Ray for me with Taka. The one I remember most is maybe the 2099 Royal Rumble. He gets thrown out and just lands flat on his hits his face.
Yeah, they had
to take him to the hospital. Replayed it. Kept having them replay it about 5 or 6 times because he flipped over and he just landed. Yeah, so that's again.
They immediately took him to the hospital that night because he was really actually hurt. But yeah, that was nasty. He was fucking great. The problem with that time, they only had like, who did they have? They had him, Scott Taylor, Scotty Too Hottie, Brian Christopher. I think they brought in the great Sasuke for a little while.
Yeah.
And they had Ivan Putski's kid.
Oh, good
Like
God.
that's all they had for like the light heavyweight division. They only had like 5 dudes, and it was like, and it was the same 5 guys every week, just over and over and over. Like they Brian Christopher would come out, and then they'd play the like, are you Jerry Lawler's son game?
Yeah.
And it was just so repetitive. They should have brought in like 15 guys. They should have built it up, you know.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Ty and Ty was basically when they brought them in? Like, you know, Funaki.
Yeah, but that was later. That was
guys?
like, yeah, but that was later. Like that
later?
title was already gone at that point, I believe. But yeah, I mean, Taka and Brian Christopher like held that division. Like they were that division, and they did a good job at it from what they had. But it was like, it was so like it was so watered down and terrible, you know.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of like old women's wrestling, you know, when they didn't want to invest in having extra women wrestlers, and it was just literally the same, you know, small group of, you know, women just going.
Are you talking about like the 80s with like Moolah and like Velvet McIntyre? And,
yeah.
That was all they had. Like it was like Wendy Richter and the Jumping Bomb Angels and the Glamour Girls. That's all they had.
And even
Jumping Bomb Angels were way ahead of their time.
They were fucking amazing.
They were.
You know, even fast forward a little bit to like the Alundra Blaze era and stuff like that when she was like the champion. Like, dude, it was like, you know, I never understood that, like how you start a division like that and just not have the wrestlers to be in the division. Like it automatically makes that championship worth nothing.
Because all the women
every week,
yeah.
Every week you'd have Randy Savage call her Bull Naka no.
all the women,
Faye.
Yeah, all the women.
That's all they had. It was like birth.
It wasn't many.
It was like Bertha Faye, Bull Nakano, and Alundra and Medusa, whatever you want to call her.
Is that who she fought at? Was it SummerSlam '94? Was Bull Nakano at the United Center? Is that who it was? Was Bull Nakano?
I think so.
I hate to answer that.
Bertha Faye was terrible. I don't know where the hell they got her from, but she was not good.
Probably Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Cornette.
Probably. All right. Oh man, I don't know who to take here. I kind of wanted to take someone current. I mean, I guess I took Mysterio and Danielson, but are they really current? They're just old dudes now. So I've been to I think all of the All Outs, and one of the best matches I've seen at all of the AEW shows I've been to in Chicago was in the first show, and it was Kenny Omega against Pac. And Neville was great in WWE. They didn't know what the fuck to do with him. Again, they were like, "You're too small for this. Go do this." And he was like, "No, I don't want to fucking do this." You know, AEW just lets him do what he wants, and it seems to work. He's kind of stepped out a few times because he had problems with his visa during COVID and like stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go Pac. He's another guy is like a total package, man. That guy has striking. He's got a really good submission game, and I have a hard time thinking of someone that can fly better than that guy either. So
he was wasted in 205.
A lot of guys were wasted 205. When they put the belt on Enzo Amore, it was fucked up over there.
Yeah.
When Enzo Amore is the guy that your standard bearer,
but it's always been about merch, and Enzo at that time was killing merch, and that's all it is.
The only thing Enzo ever did was this.
No, and he did it the other direction too.
Bada boom.
Yeah, coolest guys in the room.
Who was it? Was it the Miz that just ran him down on TV?
Yes.
Just buried him.
And then on the Indies, one of the guys from the Vaudevillains, not Aiden English, the other guy.
handlebar mustache
he
guy.
fucking destroyed. They trained together, and he fucking destroyed. The only reason Enzo ever got anywhere is he used to work out with Triple H.
Okay.
Yeah, Simon Gotch. Thanks, Yumper.
Simon Gotch.
Yeah.
The only reason he ever even got in the WWE was that he used to like lift with Triple H.
Yeah. I was sitting like 4 rows from that when he got fucking smacked and knocked out cold. That was pretty bad.
Was that in Chicago?
Underneath the rope, right?
Underneath the rope, yeah.
The sound that it made, man. Yeah, it was nasty. I was on that side of the ring too.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Those ropes were a couple haters. Haters.
The moment, like there was a bunch of people like, oh, blah blah, this is work. I'm like, no, the badges on the side of their arms, they say Rosemont. They're really taking them. Yeah.
He's out.
Yeah.
When the ref does the X.
Yes, the X. Yeah.
They don't fuck around with that.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah, I saw Edge get X'd out at WrestleMania. It was during Money in the Bank, when Money in the Bank used to be on WrestleMania in Detroit, and he was on ladders, and he was taking a hit, and they X'd him out right on the spot and took him away, and you never saw him again in the match, and they didn't even show it on TV either. So I don't know what he did, but it was immediate, and he was out of there.
Better medical personnel in the NFL. Yeah, they don't have the blue tent.
They don't have the blue tent ringside.
They just take them to the fucking hospital.
That would be a pretty fun gimmick.
Local medical facility.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've seen it over the years, though. Sometimes the ambulance doesn't make it to the hospital.
Yeah. Right.
Somehow the wrestler gets in there. Somehow Undertaker's driving.
Stone Cold's driving. You're fucked.
Yes, my point is that
comes back with a fucking milk truck,
When he did when Bret Hart was getting stretchered out and Austin's in the front seat, he just goes back and is just beating the shit out of Bret Hart while he's strapped in the stretcher.
Oh man, that was a good one. I actually watched that one not long ago. I've been rewatching old Raws. Yeah,
that's the street fight that he had with the Bret.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things with Austin, and that match is great.
It would have been awesome to see if Bret Hart had stayed, what they'd have done. Because I don't think he would have fit in the new generations, the attitude shit. I don't know if he would have. I don't know if he would have fit in. It would have been interesting.
His best work was done in those 10 months that he was there in '97.
Yeah,
like the character work.
Yep.
All right, Dougie. Why don't we finish this sucker up?
All right. So I'm really torn here, and I really want to give I might be like just totally suicide bombing myself here, but I do want to give this guy some respect because he did a lot for his size and he did a lot to build up monsters. I want to lay on the dynamite for this one. I want to go Spike Dudley.
He's on my list.
Spike Dudley, that guy wouldn't say no to anything. He would have to talk people into hurting him.
Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that guy did so much, not for himself, but to get other guys over. And that's why, like, I just have to have him on my list out of the sheer respect that he has for the business and what he would do for other guys. So
he's fucking, that guy, like, certifiably insane.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch what is it? Was it Beyond the Mat?
I've watched some of them. I don't recall.
No, I'm not. No, that's Dark Side of the Ring. I'm talking about Beyond the Mat, the one, the movie, the one with Mick Foley and Terry Funk and all those guys.
No, I have not seen that.
There's a clip where he's talking to the guy, to the documentary filmmaker, and his face is full of blood, and he's just talking about how, like, it really turns him on to get the pop out of the crowd, and then they're like, and then they're like, what do you do for a living? He's like, oh, I'm a high school teacher. I teach English.
Right.
And he's quoting Shakespeare, and he's got fucking blood like all over himself, and he's just kind of out of his mind. But yeah, that guy used to have, and you when you say he had to talk people into doing that stuff,
yeah,
had to talk the Undertaker into doing a few spots.
Mm-hmm.
The Undertaker's like, I'm not doing that to you. And he's like, you better fucking do that to me. Like, this is how I get you guys. This is how you get old. He was like Rudy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He wanted to get his ass kicked in practice just so the other guys are ready. Like that was his goal in life, was to make sure that everybody else got over from him getting fucking stomped into the ground.
Exactly. And that was the one thing. Like, I remember watching that whole thing. I think it was like an interview with the Undertaker, and they were talking about how Undertaker had him practice it multiple times, because I think it was like a choke slam out of the ring, like onto the mat,
the floor. Yeah.
And they set up like, the trust fall mats or whatever, and he still didn't feel comfortable with it, and finally he just talked him into it and was like, I can't remember if he was egging him on or if it was one of the Dudleys that he was egging on. He egged one of them on, like basically was like, you're a pussy if you don't do this, and kind of almost got them angry.
That's pretty much what he used to do. He would like question their manhood if they didn't agree with him on shit. Like he knew how to manipulate people, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's what being a teacher is all about,
Yeah, bring out the best in people.
Yeah, Spike Dudley definitely is like the modern day Darby Allin, like 100% as far as what he's willing to do to entertain fans for one, but long term, man, you wish that some of those spots they didn't do.
Yeah. Darby's that next level of psycho. I thought Jeff Hardy was bad. I think Jeff Hardy's worse than Spike Dudley. In terms of putting their body. I think Jeff Hardy was a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem with Spike, and it's the problem with Darby though. Like it's similar. You're right that like just their bodies are not big enough to handle the type of shit that they do,
You look at like I said, Bam Bam throwing him 4 or 5 rows deep at the ECW arena, Lesnar,
and they brought him back. And they fucking brought him back. Yeah.
As far as what Baloney said, I didn't realize that Kenny was under the 220. I thought Kenny was over that. Omega.
It wouldn't be a wrestling podcast if Baloney didn't mention fucking Kenny Omega. You got him chained in your basement, don't you? There's no problems with Darby. Take it back. I'm not going to take it back. I love you. That's why I don't want him to die.
Right.
All right. Let's go with dump lists here. Want to start it off, Dougie?
Yeah, I think the women weren't well represented here. I think Trish needs to be mentioned. She's under 220. I just wanted to start off like an asshole. Billy Kidman. Could have easily been on anyone's list.
Which brings it to Tori Wilson.
Yes, which brings you to Tori Wilson. Finn Balor could have been on a lot of people's lists. He was on that borderline of 220.
Now, quick question about Billy Kidman. Did you like strung out Ravens flock Billy Kidman, or like WWE, like I'm really good Billy Kidman?
I
love when he's always scratching himself. That was the best part.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertainment wise. I liked one over the other, So,
could have been bigger if Hogan hadn't buried him.
Yeah,
too in that feud.
Yep,
Hogan buried him too.
Yep.
That's what I say. Hogan had that didn't work for him, brother.
Yeah, no.
Yep. Yeah. One guy that hit my borderline list, depending on where you look, he was either 218 or 225. Sabu did a lot of stuff.
That'd have been a good one.
Yeah. So he was right there, but I didn't want to play it because if your first search, he's like 225, but then if you scroll down a little bit more, they're saying 218. So I was just left it alone. But yeah,
Brandy and I went to an indie show. It was probably about 10 years ago, and it was him and Rhino. Rhino's like 4 feet tall, by the way. He's like a little midget.
He is.
Sorry, a little person. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But Sabu, when you see him up close, like the scars, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Like you see him on TV, you're like, that guy's been through some shit. You see him in person, you're like, holy fuck. Like that guy Like you think it's like Weekend at Bernie's and somebody's playing calypso music. Like you think that guy's dead. Like seriously.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part. It's like, yeah, you got wrestlers that blade themselves. This is all him. And how many times have we seen a video of him going into barbed wire in his stupid fucking pants? Like he can't just get the pants off. Like the pants are like caught in the barbed wire, and he's trying to rip them out. And
then the barbed wire is ripping his bicep at the same time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was what him and Funk, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is nasty.
Yep.
Guy's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember when WCW brought him in, and they're like, "This ain't gonna work."
Yeah.
they got these hillbillies with the WCW NASCAR, and then you got fucking Sabu setting shit on fire and killing people.
And then my last one on my dump list, one guy that I really have a lot of respect for, hasn't gotten a fair shake in my opinion. Dolph Ziggler.
Was he under 220?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe so.
Very underrated guy. I don't think he was underrated in terms of the business. I think they gave him his opportunities and he had some title runs and stuff like that. It's just public perception from fans. It's not as good as it should be, I think. I agree.
Yeah. Just build at 218.
Okay.
So
he was like Shawn Michaels, I feel like, in the ring, like very similar.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. But like, day in, day out, he would still give you a great match. You don't, not too many nights you were like, let me fast forward through his match because he'll give you the same consistent, decent stuff. And then every once in a while you get something nice. So,
yep.
But yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay. Shankster.
I had a few, like I said, Pillman was one that it was mentioned, but Pillman was one.
Yep.
So don't take Dougie's route. Go be an asshole. Little Beaver.
I'm more of a Lord Littlebrook guy. Okay.
Before Bundy, what about it was Little Tokyo?
Haiti Kid.
Before Bundy put the kibosh on him at WrestleMania 3.
I just love that. Like, there's a wrestler named Little Beaver.
You're hitting Bundy in the belly with his moccasins, man. He had it coming.
Yeah.
He got him in the boiler.
Yeah.
Fucking Bob Uecker, man.
Jerry Lynn, I think, was another one there.
Yeah.
He was on mine.
I wanted.
I feel like he's the most. Him and Christopher Daniels are the two most underrated wrestlers ever, in my opinion.
Daniels is one. We talked about Elix Skipper was one that I thought about. Punk is even under the 220. I think is.
Yep.
There. Who I was trying to think of who else there was. I had to check on. I checked on Shawn Michaels, but he was 225. At least last I saw. Last I looked up. I'm sure back in the earlier days he wasn't 225.
I feel like in the later days he was probably under.
Yeah, like when he was a Rockers run, he was up.
Yeah, they were doing so much coke and drinking so much at that point that he got puffy. But
Marty Jannetty still does.
When he came back from the back stuff, I feel like he was probably, if he was 200 pounds, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, so he was one there.
Yeah.
Benoit, obviously, we talked about. But yeah, there was just, like I said, growing up was, outside of the ESPN stuff, was until later 90s when you got WCW, but watching WWE growing up, there wasn't those smaller guys for me, and then.
Right.
So some of those older ones, it's just, Tajiri's another one. You look at, like I said, a lot of those ECW.
Was definitely on my list as well, Tajiri. I love Tajiri.
He was on mine.
He was apparently really tough to work with, though. You ever hear the Regal stories? Like, they fucking hated each other. They were forced into a tag team, and then they were forced to travel together, and Regal fucking hated him.
That's the whole thing. Remember hearing something that his English was perfect. Like, he could speak perfect English. The Tajiri could.
He was afraid of spam?
But the Regal, but like you said, their on-screen chemistry, though, between Regal and Tajiri was
perfect. Great. Yeah. Like he would do shit that would piss him off intentionally. Like he'd roll the windows down. It was like 10 degrees out while they're driving. Like just shit like that. And like Regal wanted to just, and Regal could have legit killed him if he wanted to, but
Yeah.
you know. But also, I guess it probably didn't help that Regal was probably in recovery at that point as well. So like everything probably pissed him off a bit. You know,
sure, easily triggered.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I still stand by what was my first thing when you got this up in the group chat of Playboy Buddy Rose only being 217 with his blow-away diet.
That blow-away diet
so-
was something.
Who had the most out of sorts gut, him or Adrian Adonis?
Okay. And they both
look like Humpty Dumpty.
And both of those guys started out like small, but you hear people talk about Buddy Rose like if he could have kept in shape, man, he was like legit good. Like I guess out in
Well, he was still good when he was so big too. That was the funny part. Like that's what you know.
I always remember him being big in God, he had this shirt. It was AWA. Him and Doug Summers tag team, but he always had that red shirt with the black lettering. I can't remember what it said, but that's where I know him from was AWA.
Yeah, the Rockers beat him for the belts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, the Midnight Rockers. Excuse me.
Midnight Rockers. Yeah.
But all right, Joey, you got any we haven't talked about yet?
Oh,
Yeah, I
last
mean,
one.
yeah. Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say I was
Oh,
hoping
I'm
for somebody to pick El Dandy, so somebody could just bring up the "Who are you to doubt El
Bret
Dandy?"
Hart. It's one of my favorite interviews of all time.
Oh, it's great. Who are you to doubt El Dandy? He's a bang.
Like there's a lot of Mexican guys that really like they were all jobbers in WCW. That's why most of us don't really think about them. But like Silver King and like El Dandy was like a god in Mexico, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was big stuff.
Yeah, a lot of those guys were.
He was a
just huge
caca grande.
stars.
Big shit, caca grande.
That's what was in Jason's toilet in Indy.
Yikes!
It's still stuck in the plumbing, probably.
I'm gonna ask how do you clog a fucking hotel toilet? Those are some heavy duty toilets.
Yeah, I don't know. He's blaming shitty plumbing, but I don't know. Me and Joey did just fine.
Yeah, we made it out just all right.
All right, Joey, you got any in mind?
Yeah, for comedic purposes on my list, I had some Man on the Moon since I'm drinking some Moon Man, Andy Richter, you know.
Andy Richter.
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Richter. Andy Kaufman, my bad. You see,
Yeah.
I need to lay off the Man on the Moon. It's Andy Kaufman. Hornswoggle, of course, you know, you can't leave him out.
He was the last cruiserweight champion.
You see? This one. So
Crazy.
just running through the gambit, you know, their names are already mentioned though. You know, Juventud Guerrera, you know, the Hoovy Juice and Psychosis.
Hoovy!
Psychosis was awesome.
Pinata!
Just before The Rock buried him on TV in Jericho's debut.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So yeah, there's plenty of others. I love Jerry Lynn. Jerry was also great. Super Crazy obviously was already picked, but he was high up there on my list too for all the crazy stuff that they used to do.
The Jerry Lynn 1, 2, 3 kid match or Lightning Kid matches in Global were always good.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously Jerry Lynn and RVD and ECW. I mean, you could watch them and it would never get tired, ever.
No.
I'm pretty sure Lynn and Waltman trained together with Dean Malenko's dad.
Okay.
It would make sense.
I'm almost certain of that. I'm going to look that up when we're done here. But that's why those two were so good together is I believe they even like went to wrestling school together. And I know they were both trained by Boris Malenko, but I'm pretty sure they like grew up together in the business. So that's why they were like so good together on Global.
Yeah, my last honorable mention also was Blue Demon Jr. Blue Demon, his dad, Blue Demon Jr. was adopted, but Blue Demon himself was also a huge legend. He was actually the main villain the main heel that went against El Santo for all those many decades. So Blue Demon Jr. though also he had a hell of a run. He became the first ever NWA Mexican World Heavyweight Champion, winning the NWA World Heavyweight title at one point. Short stint, but he was the first. So that's why his name
was it like one of those where he lost or where he won it in Mexico and it wasn't never recognized, or
it's in the book. It's in the record books.
It is okay.
Yeah, it's in the books. So a W is a W.
That's awesome. No, that's great. Usually they would do that. They would like let the guy win, and then like a week later you lose it to Flair or lose it to Dusty or Harley or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
It was Eddie Sharkey was the name of the guy who trained Jerry Lynn, and then
okay.
Waltman had Boris Malenko and Eddie Sharkey.
Okay, so but they did train together, right?
Yeah.
But the same trainer, yeah. So I'm sure one debuted in '88. Jerry Lynn debuted in '88, and Waltman's was '89. So I'm sure they did, yeah.
Yeah, they crossed paths. I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Any more, Joey?
I mean, obviously modern day, because I know my list is as old as me, but most everybody of today, just to upset Peter some more, I will pick Kenny Omega. I did pick Ultimo Dragon, his idol, first round, but you got Pentagon Jr. and his brother Ray Phoenix right now tearing it up. So the future is bright.
Well, Ray Phoenix is gonna sit at home for a year or so, from what I've been reading. It's fucking stupid, but
it is. He can heal up though.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
So hopefully they get used when they come.
Yeah. I didn't really. You guys have really talked about pretty much everybody that was on my list.
La Parka.
Orange Cassidy was one. Yeah, La Parka is one, obviously. Orange Cassidy was one that I thought about today. Because I mean, if that guy's 190 pounds, I'd be shocked. Another guy I don't think is going to be able to wrestle the way he wrestles for that much longer because of just he takes way too much punishment. Christopher Daniels we talked about for a minute. He's one of my favorites of all time. I saw him when I was 19. I went to an indie show in Elk Grove, and it was like an old abandoned steel mill. And it was him. Colt Cabana was there. They were like little kids, pretty much. Like they were, I'm 43, and they're probably, I think Colt Cabana is a couple of years older than me. So okay. Colt Cabana was probably 21, and Christopher Daniels was like 24 or something when I saw them. My wife, 161 pounds or whatever. So yeah, Christopher Daniels always had like a spot for me, Christian, another one. Yeah, Christian was a light heavyweight champion.
Yep.
Yeah. I think he's over 220 now, but I'm sorry, Shankster.
His gimmick now is phenomenal.
He's doing the best work of his career right now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the whole "your father's dead" stuff, that's.
I hope they work. I hope he ends up working with the Costco dad. That better fucking. He signed a contract. He's supposed to do like one match with AEW.
Yeah,
and I hope that it ends up being Christian. It better end up being Christian because that'll just be funny as hell.
So was the Costco dad? He was a wrestler before or something.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, yeah.
He's a big dude. He's actually trained. He hasn't wrestled in a few years, but he used to do it on the side, I guess.
Okay,
those people, they're the worst.
Oh, they're horrible. They're horrible. They were at All Out when we went, and Gordo and I are leaving through the lot. We're driving through the lot, and he walks by, and people are screaming for him, and he just keeps walking. He just keeps walking. And you hear him like going bam, 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 like over and over again. And we're like, just give it up, dude. Like,
it's like weirdo. It's like when Bob Backlund used to show up to WWE shows and just sign autographs while people were waiting in line. Dude, It was the weirdest thing, dude. We were standing in line the one time, and Bob Backlund's just coming down the line. And he's like, $10, $10, $10, $10, and then like,
did he call you a plebeian?
Dude, no, he was shot, dude. He was so shot. And then he's getting towards the end of the line, and he's realizing nobody's buying this shit, and it starts going from like 10 to $5, $5, $5. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah. He was great in the ring. I love Bob Backlund. Petey Williams, just because of the Canadian Destroyer and how many wrestlers use it now.
Yeah, but it's not used as like he used it, unfortunately.
No. Well, I mean, you have to. Well, I feel like the Tequila Sunrise is like the better version of the because
that Coles.
Yeah, because he jumps off the rope and there's like momentum, so like it looks like it hits harder, you know. It doesn't look like the person getting the move is doing most of the work, because with Petey Williams it seemed like a lot of the times that's what it was. Hurricane Shane Helms,
yeah, very
good. Even in WCW he was really good with like 3 count and all that bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know like, if he was or not, but like you go back to those world class days, and I don't know how big they were, but like Chris Adams was one for his old heads here, like him.
Super kick.
Yeah, Henning, when he was in AWA, he had to be done. I mean, I know he got bigger as he got, older, but back when he was first starting, he had to be under 220.
Yeah, he was the. I was looking at the history of the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship before, even before Tiger Mask and the Dynamite Kid and all that stuff, and he actually had it because it was defended in the UWF.
Okay.
So he had it, and a couple other Jushin Liger had it at one point. I think the Great Muta had it. Great Muta is another one we could talk about because early on in his career he was probably well under 220. He got a little bigger as years went on. I love that guy. That guy inspired so many wrestlers. We would never have had half of the Japanese guys that came through in the last decade, or girls. Asuka wouldn't have gone anywhere without Muta. Muta taught her everything. And then finally the last one I had here that we Little Guido or Nunzio. I love how Vince McMahon's like, Little Guido's a little racist. Let's change your name to Nunzio and make you a mobster. Okay. But he was awesome in the ring. That guy was like a 140-pound version of Dean Malenko. So, and we had a couple lists, so I'm going to show them real quick. Sean Jankowski, regular watcher, was on a few weeks ago. There was his list. He's got Finn Balor. Kofi Kingston didn't mention because he's under 2. Yeah, perfect underdog. Yeah, it's hard to differentiate nowadays because they don't separate anymore like they used to.
Right?
Yeah.
Stay with your own people. No, I'm kidding. Finn Balor, Jeff Hardy, Bryan Danielson, Rey Mysterio. It's a great list. And then this is Brandy's. Brandy's got a couple that we haven't talked about. A few, actually. We got Penta. Darby. Ricochet. I know Baloney mentioned it in the chat a couple minutes ago. I feel like Ricochet, he hasn't reached any spots yet. He hasn't elevated yet. And it's not his fault or anything. It's just that nobody's really given him that opportunity to really shine, Right. Wheeler Yuta, I think Wheeler Yuta is going to be a star eventually, but he needs some more work. Pete Dunne, I fucking love Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
Bruiserweight.
Yeah, Bruiserweight.
I mean, they dicked him over in the WWE for the last few years with the Butch stuff and all that. It's just weird, but they made him a star in NXT. He fucking steamrolled everybody, and then they brought him up and they changed his name, and it's like, why do they keep doing shit like that?
I don't know.
Was it him and Gunther that had the matches, or was it somebody else with Gunther?
Gunther had the matches with Ilya Dragunov.
Okay, in UK.
Those were, oh man, those are some of the best matches I've ever seen. And we don't call him Gunther on the show. His name is Walter.
Walter, sorry.
But all right. Well, that's what we got here. Dougie, you got anything to plug, pal?
Yeah, you know what? I'm part of the Chicago Sports Bums. We do a little thing called the Bumcast on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Every other Friday, we do a happy hour starting at 6 o'clock on the YouTubes. And then we're doing a little Bears and Hawks watch party on the 3rd of November at Jack's place. We're doing a double feature. Come and drink, have fun, be merry, and we'll go from there.
Sweet. All right, Joey, Shankster, anything you want to add before we take off here?
Vote Shankster.
There you go. Joey?
Dougie doing all the honors, as always. Yeah, obviously, as Bumbassador for the Chicago Sports Bums, you guys tune in on Monday nights at 8, of course. Support these guys here for the Bumcast. Join the happy hour with a beverage of your choice every couple of Fridays from now. And, keep following along for more shenanigans. And thank you again, Brian, for having me on.
Thanks for having me back.
As always.
So
time flies when you're having fun.
Before I go, let's plan another one of these. So we've done the big guys and the little guys. You guys want to do like tag teams or something like that next time?
I can get down with some tag teams.
I'll do whatever. Anything you want to do, I'm up for, man. Tag team, Survivor Series type stuff, whatever.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay. We'll talk. I think this group, you guys are all lifelong wrestling nerds, and I think it fits pretty well. So let's
you know what, Shankster doesn't have a bad idea. We do have Survivor Series coming up soon.
Make our own Survivor Series team.
Build your own Survivor Series team. You do like a classic, current.
Ooh, yeah, we could do categories.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we did a stable one.
Yeah, right.
A couple of years ago, but this could be different. Okay, yeah, because Survivor Series is coming up too.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm also down with tag teams too. So
yeah, I'm up for whatever you want to do. I'll talk wrestling with you guys anytime.
Believe it or not, I did a tag teams draft on the Bumcast. Pre Dougie, I was on the Bumcast and we did a tag team draft.
Okay.
So we'll do it again. All right. Well, I'll be back next week. We're going to do, since next week is Halloween, we're going to do horror movie villains. So I'm going to have Keelan on as well as another guest. We're going back. I'm going to be doing weekly for the rest of the year. So we'll be back every week with Drafty Pod here. Stick around for other stuff coming through. We always have hook up on music, Grateful Ducks, as well as at the show. If you haven't been watching the 31 Days of Horror, Yumper has been just killing it. Wonderful videos every single day. So just go and binge watch them all now if you haven't. Just awesome stuff. And then we are going to have a new piece of merchandise coming out. More on that tomorrow because it's not mocked up just yet. But yeah, head over to our Big Cartel and check everything out. But we're going to have something else. We're going to have a charity item tomorrow for our good buddy Gordo. So so be on the lookout for that. Hopefully be able to drop that tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys for being on. As always, I love all three of you. And
you too, brother.
Look forward to seeing you guys again very, very, very soon. Thank you, everybody that's been in the chat. Thank you, Brandy and Sean, for providing lists. And have a great night, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Good night, Peter.
Good night, Kenny Omega.